Over in Luxembourg this week, as well as giving the go-ahead to the EU's new diplomatic service, foreign ministers also delivered significantly good news for Serbia and its EU ambitions. The failure of Serbia to hand over the suspected war criminal Ratko Mladic has been the main obstacle to Serbia's progress towards EU membership. War crimes prosecutors allege that Mladic was the chief organizer behind the massacre at Srebrenica, where 8,000 Muslim men and boys were murdered. Dutch peacekeepers failed to prevent the killing, and it is the Netherlands that's been the staunchest in its refusal to give ground to Serbia until Mladic is delivered to the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, known as ICTY. But Serbia's government has recently braved the anger of the country's nationalists by agreeing to dialogue with Kosovo, the breakaway Serb province which declared independence 2.5 years ago. The EU wants to reward the currently pro-European administration in Serbia and, of course, promote stability in the region as a whole. And so this week, foreign ministers asked the European Commission to formally consider Serbia's application for EU membership made last year. But their statement also said that further progress will depend on Serbia's cooperation with the court in The Hague. At the European Parliament, they think the foreign ministers have struck the right balance.
Serbia is the biggest country in the region, and this country was a victim of Milosevic for years. 10 years ago, he left power, so in this period a lot of changes happened. But now, when the green light is given, and this green light is conditional one, there is end of excuses. Everything is now in the corner of Serbia. Serbia can prove and will have to prove itself. They need to deliver something. They were asking for that, and we responded positively. And after that, they simply need to implement what they are saying all the time.
Of course, I mean, a need to encourage what Serbia is doing is very important, and it has agreed in theory to sit down and talk to Kosovo, for example, and the pro-democracy forces are there. But some have said that it's easing the pressure, actually, Doris Pack. Do you agree?
I don't think so. I think in Serbia they need a kind of encouragement, because there are a lot of nationalists in the air, on the ground, and the government in charge now has at least given up a little bit on behalf of Kosovo, a little bit. So they have to see that we have accepted this. It is a first step, so to say, but it should be followed by a full cooperation with the ICTY, because we can never get any conciliation in the region, in Bosnia especially, if Mladic is not delivered to
being the court. Yeah. Yes. Mariska, the Netherlands, the country you come from, has been the country behind the slowing down, really. And now, does this represent a softening of approach, the fact that it was willing to take this step forward, do you think? Why does it matter so much in the Netherlands?
Well, the Netherlands, of course, historically has more focus on what happens to the region. First of all, there were Dutch soldiers under UN flag involved with the terrible tragedy of Srebrenica, where the Serb forces were involved. At the same time, The Hague is the host of many international justice institutions, and I think that this matter is a matter of how much we believe in international law. So I think that the Dutch position and the strong push got the other European countries on board to reaffirm again that international justice is important for us. It is a conditionality for membership, for application, for partnerships with the EU, and it should stay that way.
So the Dutch don't see this as a softening, they see it actually of putting it on the table even more firmly.
Absolutely, that they got the European colleagues on board, and here in the European Parliament, we as a Liberal group, we are always pushing to bring the Western Balkans closer to Europe. We think this is very important for the population, a young, ambitious population that deserves to live in a more prosperous and a more stable region. On the other hand, we ask that basic conditions are met, adherence to the rule of law, respect for human rights and democratic institutions are very, very important, and we will keep pushing for this.
But I'm told by some officials here in Brussels that there is a feeling that too much emphasis is being placed on the opinion of the chief prosecutor of this court in The Hague, and that there is pressure to make him sound a bit more positive. Are you worried that is the way some diplomats and officials are lobbying, or do you agree?
I would say Serge Bramets is a very professional man. and I have a full respect for his work. What he's actually looking is not just Mladic and Hadžić. He's looking for the conclusion of cooperation with Serbia. So they would like to close this chapter, and it would be a great relief for Serbia. Without Mladic and Hadžić, Serbia would be in much better position to prove itself and to speed up the process, to encourage pro-European forces, and to develop all the necessary capacities in the government, in the parliament, in the judicial branch of executive. So the state of Serbia need to be effective in full shape, and they need to develop their capacity to harmonize their legislation. They need a state of law in reality, not just blah blah saying, you know. And people are desperately waiting for these deeper changes.
But they have to show they're cooperating to find this alleged war criminal. Do you think they are at the moment, Doris Pack? Do you think the Serbian authorities are doing everything they could?
I'm doubtful. I think the population in Serbia is not yet ready to accept that in its name Milosevic did a lot of things. They were never told what has been done. They believe that we are telling that they have done things which they have really done, but they don't believe it. And that is a big problem in Serbia. I'm not blaming the people, because they should have politicians who tell them what has been done. It has been so in Germany, in other countries where things have happened. So I think this is very important, that the politicians take the responsibility for the past and that they can go forward in fulfilling the conditions. We are not stepping back from our condition, because before we start any negotiation with Serbia, they should have delivered Hadžić and Mladic.